In this video, I want to talk about deception and does God deceive the righteous? So a while back, I had been reading a context of scripture in Jeremiah 20, and I'm going to read it to you right now. This is in the NIV version, and it says, Jeremiah 20, verse 7, "You deceived me, Lord, and I was deceived. You overpowered me and prevailed. I'm ridiculed all day long. Everyone mocks me. Whenever I speak, I cry out, proclaiming violence and destruction. So the word of the Lord has brought me insult and reproach all day long. But if I say I will not mention his word or speak any more in his name, his word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I'm weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot. I hear many whispering terror on every side. Let's denounce him. Let's denounce him. All my friends are waiting for me to slip, saying, perhaps he will be deceived. Then we will prevail over him and take our revenge on him." So I'm just going to focus on these four verses, and actually more so on verse 7. In verse 7, that's the first sentence that I read to you. And it says, "You deceived me, Lord, and I was deceived. You overpowered me and prevailed. I'm ridiculed all day long. Everyone mocks me." And in the little footnote here, by deceived, in both, you deceived me, Lord, and I was deceived. So it says it twice. It says, or persuaded. Now, when you look this up in Strong's, the word being translated into deceived or persuaded is Strong's H2420, and it is the word hida. When I had mentioned this to you previously, I was pretty incensed by this because I felt like, no, God does not deceive us. There is, even the devil is called the deceiver, right? So how could it be possible that God deceives? And this word, this original word, hida, is the same word, whether it's talking about deception that is sent to the wicked or it's talking about persuasion that is sent to the righteous, or enticement, which is a form of deception. It is. In a manner of speaking, it is deception. But what we need to look at is, what is the purpose? Because judgment is sent to both the righteous and the wicked, correct? Judgment begins in God's house. And if judgment begins in God's house right now, and this is what we're going through, how much worse is that judgment going to be for the wicked who receive their judgment later? So both receive judgment, right? But there are different purposes for which that judgment is being sent. For the righteous, it is to discipline. The wicked are not going to have that opportunity. They did not receive discipline. They didn't respond to it. So they're not responding to it as discipline. They didn't receive God's ministry. They didn't, take the opportunity to be in the covenant. And I want to be clear about something. When you take the opportunity to be in the covenant, you need to expect that a fiery trial is going to come on you. A fiery ordeal is going to be on you. You're going to be working out judgment, but you'll know what it is. Like, you're supposed to know what it is based on the word. You're supposed to, as it's happening, God starts revealing to you, look, my people were going through this in the Bible. You've just been taught another narrative about what it means to be a Christian. All of a sudden, you're going to be blessed with worldly wealth, right? Like all the pastors you see with their private jets and their tax-exempt homes. Like, you're going to be blessed. Yeah, don't count on it. The word tells you that if the world is rewarding you, it's because you belong to the world. You're not going to have those things here, guys. You're supposed to give all of that up here. Jesus said, if you do not give everything up, everything you have, you can't be his disciple. You can't be a student of his. Okay? So when you're reading what Jeremiah says here, or the translation, the NIV translation, which they selected to be deception, and I think that it would have been better if they had translated it to persuaded or enticed, because I think that it gets at a different reason why God is doing it. Let's talk about the reason. So God does deceive, he does entice, he does persuade. But there's a difference in why he's doing it with the wicked versus the righteous. So God tells us you've either been predestined to be an object of his mercy or an object of his wrath. he tells us both are going to receive judgment. Hello? But there's a reason why the righteous are receiving, those who are objects of his mercy, are receiving judgment. And notice, this sort of paradox that, aren't they objects of his mercy? Why are they receiving wrath? Why are they receiving judgment? Because they're being disciplined and they're working out their covenant. Is that the reason why the wicked will receive judgment? No, because they are going to be objects of his wrath, his great wrath, in order to display his glory to the objects of his mercy. So you, having gone through his wrath, his judgment, are going to see what he brings on the wicked. You will have been purified, made spotless, and refined. The wicked will not. They're just going to their destruction. Now let's understand that two things can be true at the same time. You can receive judgment as a righteous person. Another can receive judgment as a wicked person. And there are two different end games to that. You can be deceived as a righteous person, or enticed and persuaded, in which you were enticed and persuaded to do something for God, to take on a role. That's what Jeremiah's talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Because I was enticed into taking on a role that I had no idea what it was going to be about. That is the truth. I had no idea what it was going to be about, what he was going to require of me, and it's going to be the same for you. You are not going to know his covenant, the entirety of what he will require of you in the covenant up front. You won't. But I have been telling you and showing you in scripture and in my lived example that you're going to give up everything you have. So I was enticed and persuaded into a role that I had no idea what it was going to be about. The same thing is true for Jeremiah. I will read to you his complaint again. The same thing was true for him, that he had no idea what this was going to be about. What did God said things to him up front. Don't be afraid of this people, right? Said the same things to Ezekiel. Don't be afraid of these people. I'm going to make your forehead like flint. I'm going to rescue you from the grasp of the cruel. Yeah, so why is he calling out from a pit after he sunk down into the mud? It kind of seems like he was persuaded into a role that he didn't understand, because you read that and you think, okay, that's lovely. Nothing's gonna happen to me. Well, no, that's not what he said. He said, I'll rescue you from the pit. Okay? So he did. He rescued him. But it didn't mean he didn't go down into the pit and sink into the mud and was there thinking he was gonna die. I'm just trying to give you a feel right now that this is not a bowl of cherries. This is not the lie you've been sold about being, so you're just, galloping along in the meadows and everything's all good. Peter said, don't be surprised at the fiery ordeal that has come on you. And I'm not in any way making God out to be a liar. What I'm pointing out is that the promises that God has made are true, but they aren't what we think based on our own understanding. Let's read Jeremiah's complaint again. You deceived me, Lord, and I was deceived. Or you persuaded me and I was persuaded. Either way, guys, he's describing that he was persuaded to do something that he did not understand up front. That is a form of deception. There is a deception to that. There's a reason the same word is being used, which we're going to take a look at in Strong's. All of the contexts where this is being used. The same word is being used, whether it's the deception happening to the wicked or the persuasion happening to the righteous. There's a reason the same word's being used. There is an element of deception in it. You deceived me, Lord, and I was deceived. Or you enticed me, or you persuaded me. Those are all uses of this word. You overpowered me and prevailed. I'm ridiculed all day long. Everyone mocks me. You think, was Jeremiah told that up front? Because I don't remember that part where God told him, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be, lowered down into a pit and sink down into the mud and think you're going to die. Don't remember that part. Whenever I speak, I cry out, proclaiming violence and destruction. So the word of the Lord has brought me insult and reproach all day long. He seems a little surprised about it. I don't know. Sounds like a complaint to me. But if I say I will not mention his word or speak any more in his name, his word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I'm weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot. So he contemplated doing that. I mean, do you hear what's going on, what he's trying to sort through in his heart? You persuaded me to do this thing. This is what I'm living through. This stinks. I'm telling you that I know from experience that this stinks. I hear many whispering terror on every side. Let's denounce him. Let's denounce him. All my friends are waiting for me to slip, saying, perhaps he will be deceived. Then we will prevail over him and take our revenge on him. So, like, cool friends, right? Like, families are going to be divided. Friends are going to be divided. It's not what most of you guys are claiming it is to be Christian or it is to be a prophet. Because you guys go to your churches and you go on prophet day and then you just sit there and wait for them to tell you your psychic reading about how you're going to be so blessed and, you know, a Mercedes is in store for you. I don't see that in the word. What I see is that Jesus said, blessed are you when people persecute you and slander you. In the same way they treated the prophets before you. Cursed are you when people are speaking well of you, because that's the way they treated the false prophets. And yet you guys will carry around your little CD recordings of the false prophecies being spoken over you. And then when you're confronted about it, you're like, well, let's just see. Yeah, I'm not totally taking it seriously. No, you are. Because you're still holding on to it. You received that. And now you're still holding on to it just in case it happens. An idol doesn't have to be an Asherah pole, an image. An idol is something that you've put before God to tell you what's going to happen. Something that you're loving more than what he has. That's an idol. Something you put before God. It doesn't have to be that you set up an image to it. Sometimes you do. But most of the time, it's just something that you're cherishing in your heart before God. And I get it. It's hard. It's hard to cherish God and the difficult things that he requires. His difficult covenant. It's really hard to cherish that before all these other things. And yet, there is no other covenant. This is what is required. Oh my goodness. I just went to look up this word and realized that the Strong's reference that I gave you, Strong's 2420, was the wrong one. This was a different study that I had open on my computer. So let me find the other one. Okay, so I apologize for that. It's Strong's H6601, and it's the same context in thou hast deceived me, and then the next phrase, and I was deceived. Same one, Strong's 6601. Okay, so the word is patha, and starts out with the first context in Genesis 9:27 being enlarged. So God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Now, what does enlarge have to do with deceive or entice? Well, I would think that it goes more along with this concept of entice. So there's also this piece, right? He is enlarging. He is enticing Japheth. I don't think there are a lot of contexts of that particular word. Exodus 22:16, and if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. I'm actually reading that and thinking there's not entirely a deception there, because he could have intended to make her his wife, but he enticed her nonetheless. It's not the word that is necessarily telling us that there's deception. It's the way the word is being used in the specific context. So if you're we read Jeremiah 20 twice now, 7 through 10, and within the context, Jeremiah is feeling deceived. He's feeling it seemingly betrayed, or some sort of confusion about why he is experiencing all of this hardship that wasn't spoken to him up front. And you don't understand until you understand. I will tell you that from personal experience. You don't understand what is required in this particular role. Everybody wants to be a prophet. No one wants to actually go through the thing. And, you know, I've watched plenty of people who have come in and been like, oh, I want to do this. Use me, Lord, use me. And they won't even be used in the smallest areas of their life. Once they see what's going on, what is required, they won't even be used in those places. I've watched people who were taught by me go out and try to set themselves up as teachers based on the teaching I gave them, which isn't the way I was raised to be a teacher. But they want to go and teach everybody till they discover that everybody rejects the message. Then they're real quiet. And then they move on to other things that are easier for them. Easier. Because they couldn't handle that. But everybody wants to be a prophet. And I have news for you. No one wants this message. It doesn't matter how easy you try to make it for yourself. No one is going to want it. If they want it, it's likely, if people are listening to what you're saying, it's because you're not speaking the truth. Take heed to yourselves that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. Remember that warning? Remember that warning that God also gave that was given in Deuteronomy. So Solomon should have known about it already, but it was given again to Solomon in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, and yet he did it anyway. The man with wisdom didn't obey. Judges 14:15, and it came to pass that on the seventh day that they said unto Samson's wife, entice thy husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle. Okay, we get the context. Judges 16:5, and the lords of the Philistines came up unto her and said unto her, entice him, and see wherein his strength lieth. Again, the Samson story. 2 Samuel 3:25. Thou knowest Abner, the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee, and to know thy going out and thy coming in, and to know all that thou doest. All right, you guys have the context. You have the Strong's reference, Strong's H6601. We don't need to read every single context, but I want to give you a couple of contexts that are for the righteous and a couple that are for the wicked. Here you go. 1 Kings 22. Let's start with 21. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth and do so. So God has told the spirit, he has commanded the spirit to go and do this thing. Correct? Is Satan in equal power to God? Or does God use Satan and spirits to do certain things according to his will, according to his plan? So there he has sent a spirit, put a spirit in the mouths of these lying prophets to go and deceive the wicked. Then you have the complaint of Job in 31:9. If mine heart have been deceived by a woman, or if I have laid wait at my neighbor's door, and he goes on to talk about, I didn't do any of these things. And then he says in verse 27, and my heart hath been secretly enticed, or my mouth hath kissed my hand. You see the interchangeability of these words and the concepts within this concept. Enticed, persuaded, deceive. Again, has God tempted Jeremiah into this role? Who can be tempted into this role? No one can be tempted into this role. You can be tempted into becoming a false prophet. No one wants to become an actual prophet and endure what I'm enduring right now. That's why Jonah was running, you guys. No one wants to go through this. Show me a prophet in the word who you want to go through what they went through. Tell me the cup you want to drink. All right. Then you have the context in Proverbs 25:15. By long forbearing, a prince persuaded, and a soft tongue breaketh the bone. Okay, so like this is neither indicating righteousness nor wickedness. It's just talking about persuasion. Then you have the context of Jeremiah 20, verse 7 through 10, which I read to you. And here I'll read it to you again in the King James Version. But we already know that Jeremiah was righteous. O Lord, thou hast deceived me, and I was deceived. Thou art stronger than I, and hast prevailed. I am in derision daily. Everyone mocketh me. Verse 10. For I heard the defaming of many, fear on every side. Report, they say they, and we will report it. All my familiars watched for my halting, saying, peradventure, I don't know that word, he will be enticed, and we shall prevail against him, and we shall take our revenge on him. It's clear that God does this with the righteous. It's just for a different purpose. Ezekiel 14:9. And if the prophet be deceived when he hath spoken a thing, I, the Lord, have deceived that prophet, and I will stretch out my hand upon him and will destroy him from the midst of my people Israel. Again, very similar to that context we read in Kings, which is also in Chronicles, of the lying spirit in the mouths of the prophets. Okay, and then you have the context of what he does with his wife, whom he had sent away, and now he's luring her in. Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. That's, Hosea 2:14. Then Hosea 7:11. Ephraim also is like a silly dove without heart. Oh, this is another context that I thought was kind of interesting. Silly. Silly is the context. Is like a silly dove without heart. They call to Egypt, they go to Assyria. I'm not going to touch that one in this video. But do you see that there is a context of God enticing his prophets, persuading them into a role? And listen, it's not like by the like deceptive means or something like that. I knew ahead of time, actually, that I was going to die for the role. I didn't know everything else I was going to go through. To be honest, death would be a welcome relief right now. That isn't what I'm concerned about. It's what I have to live through right now. It is the nightmare that I'm living right now. So there is a persuasion, there is an enticement, there is, if you look at just the word, you guys, you're being told you're gonna lie down with no one to make you afraid. My family's being evicted right now. When we've tried to do every single thing right, is that lying down with no one to make you afraid? We don't have anywhere to go. But there's more peace in this house than most houses where you guys have rent every month, as far as knowing that God is going to take care of us. So don't lean on your own understanding. The enticement, the persuasion is not for the same purpose as with the wicked. God is not giving you the play-by-play of what you're going to, of everything you're going to suffer, but he will test you. He'll count the cost. So anyone saying, oh, well, maybe you can fall. Yeah, if you really belong to him, God's dealing with you. He's disciplining you. He's bringing judgment on you. And you learn to be grateful for that, because you know that the reason he's doing that is because you belong to him. And he has placed before you an open door that no one can shut. If he's not doing those things, you think you're in the clear right now, but you're not. He does lure you in. He will lure you in. He will speak comfortable words to you. Pleasant words. Letting you know that you're his. And then he starts bringing judgment. How do you explain that? His word says it. You don't have to take my word for it. This is what his word says he's going to do. So he speaks real tenderly to you. And then he's bringing judgment on you. Who can understand these things if you've not sat in the counsel of God? So what I spoke to you previously was not wrong. I have a little bit more understanding that I've wanted to explain to you, that I've wanted for you to understand about the intention of his persuading and enticing his wife versus the wicked. When he does it with the wicked, it's ultimately to destroy them. When he does it with his wife, He's bringing you in and enticing you with these tender words, revealing himself to you. I mean, in my personal experience, so that you pant for him. And then he brings judgment and he's putting you through it and all these other things. And then you're like, where is the love? Where's the love? And then he reveals himself again and shows you that love. And then he brings the judgment on you again. So he's moving you along through the covenant. But there are times when you are going to feel like, this is harsh. Do you hate me? Am I actually even yours? What do you think Jeremiah was feeling? So, as I said, there's a fine line between the persuasion, enticement, and deception. The other is for testing and bringing you further than you'd go otherwise in your covenant. And in a manner of speaking, it is deceptive, but not for the same purpose. So the use of the same word is appropriate. But the way we understand the concept needs to be within the context of how it's being used in the scriptures and with whom. And what he's doing with the righteous, which is to purify, make spotless, refine, make holy, set apart, work out your covenant, versus what he's doing with the wicked, which is to destroy and make them a spectacle as the object of his wrath. And he will reveal why he persuaded, why he enticed for his purposes. For example, when he kept telling me to stay in the land, to test my heart to see if I would do it, to test my heart to see if I would try to take control, if I would try to take my things, just in case, which I didn't. I didn't try to take anything from the house. I continued to believe, and he, in a manner of speaking, did deceive me. He enticed me. But then he explained to me that I had to give up everything. But then he explained to me that this is also a sign to you guys that you will give up everything. That I couldn't keep any of that stuff. And if I had known what he was going to do, there were many things that he did. He tested my heart to see if I would stay in the land and try to take it up by the work of my own hands. He tested my heart to see if I would be willing to give everything up in order to trust him. He tested my heart to see if I would try to contact those people to get my stuff. He tested my heart. Even to this day, people are still calling my daughter to give me money on the equity for the house and for, well, not so much for the house, but now for the office, for the building. And I haven't taken a dime because he didn't allow me to do it. And he could have very well given me permission to keep the money that I had, keep the properties that I had, keep the things that I had. But who will condemn me before God? Who's going to say, well, she didn't pay her property taxes, she didn't do this, she didn't do that. I gave up everything, all of the wages of my prostitution to this world. I gave it back to the world. Who will condemn me before God? So see, you can't understand this by your own understanding. It has to be revealed by him. Who will condemn me before him? What will he say to them? Because there's nothing that I held for myself. I'm in rags, literally. I am in rags. It really doesn't seem like anyone cares that this is the covenant. It doesn't seem like anyone understands that this is not a YouTube channel. That's not what this is for me. It's never been that for me. This has been a testimony that I've been living out in front of you. And much of what we're going through right now, I'm not even sharing with you guys. Because I've come to the realization that you don't care. And unless he requires me to share it, there are some things that just feel too vulnerable. And I don't want to entrust myself anymore. But the message that I will share with you is that this is the covenant. So that when you're going through it, because I don't think any of you are going to respond to it right now, but when you are going through it, if you are blessed to go through it, that at least you'll have my testimony that this is what the covenant is. It has never been what counterfeit Christianity, even though Christianity is not a religion in the word. The religion is Judaism. People became Christians who were Jews through accepting the Messiah that had always been promised to Jews in Judaism. All I'm trying to share with you is that this is what early Christians were going through. The expectations of early Christians to share everything they had so that no one had too much and no one had too little, so that there was equality, so that the poor were taken care of. The expectation that you were going to accept persecution and martyrdom, that you were going to refuse to be released from prison so that you might gain a better resurrection. These were all expectations of early Christians, which is the reason why the early leaders, like Jesus, like the apostles, were telling you things like, don't fear those who kill the body. The very people who kill you are going to claim to be doing a service to God. And yet I tell you, you're going to be the next Gaza, and you're like, I don't know. That seems pretty out there. All right. Discern it with God then.